for people if you have questions, because the questions always take this meditation to some extraordinary kind of place. I mean, stuff comes through that I never even dreamed about talking about. And so it's very good. So if you have questions, don't be shy, and ask them. So we'll have meditation. And then if there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer. Does anyone have a question?
Hi, I'm reading your book, most recent one, and you went through last moment with your father's, last moment for Peter S. Or Rudy, you must have a lot of deep thought about life and death experience. I know this is very heavy subject, but you have a very, very interesting life, dramatic, interesting life, it's amazing. Yeah, so you're meant to be teacher as meditation to let people know that how life, precious life is about, and this is really very deep. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Well, thank you, Mitsuko. All the books I've written have come directly from my own experience,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
whether it's actual experience or uncovering things inside myself that were released into those books. I mean, every single one of them comes from that.
That's why it's so real, so real.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Every so often a writer likes to be complimented. Somebody gets what they've written. I think that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
And still, I'm so difficult to meditate, sit still. It's so hard that I really need a more discipline to be. Yes.
It takes time. You'll learn. You're learning.
Oh, you learning? Yes. So.
Let me tell you something, Atsuko, really. And the day I met you was a long time ago at that performance you gave in New York. And when I saw you perform, I said, I've known this person for I don't know how many lifetimes. I just,
Wow.
and I am absolutely not even surprised that you're sitting here in meditation today. And
Mm,
I'm talking, it was a long, long time ago that we met.
yes,
I
I
knew
know.
that. I saw you entertained, and then I asked you to come to my loft. Anyway, God bless you, dear. You're wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I remember Rudy once told me, I said to him, Rudy, what happened the day I met you? And he just looked at me and he said, Stuart, I saw my son looking in the window of my store, my son lost in the universe, and I just pulled you in the door. That's
Mm.
how it works.
Yeah, you wrote that in the book. Yes, right. Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Mm,
So uh, there are no accidents.
mm,
Absolutely in this life, no accidents. Everything has a reason, a purpose. Nobody is sitting in this class accidentally.
mm,
And every single person that has come to this class has come a different way.
mm,
So there are no accidents. There's just karma, life. And the important thing is when things happen, like finding a meditation, finding a teacher, it's what you do with it. I remember sitting in Rudy's store once and somebody walked in, you can't be my teacher. So you're fat, you eat meat. I was like, my God. I said, everybody sees their own reality. I'm sitting there looking at Rudy and all I see is light coming out of him.
mm,
And I'm not, and the guy walked out in a huff. And Rudy looked at me and he said, it'll take 10,000 lifetimes for the
mm.
two energies that came together that allowed this man to come and study with me to come together again. I mean, it was so interesting to learn that, how important it is to take advantage of the moment. Because there's always reasons not to do. You're fat, you're this, you're that, you're that, but you can always find something, you know? And to do is very difficult because then you got to let go of all that and you have to truly be grateful for that moment that came into one's life that makes it possible to have a connection with higher energy, somebody who cares enough to teach, somebody who is there all the time. I mean, I'm not with you. You people are all over the United States and the world here, you know, but I'm here all the time, 7 days a week, 7 classes a week. I teach here, you know, and frankly, I'm the only one who attends all the classes. You know, if I don't attend them, there's no class. So you have to truly have that kind of gratitude and then understand how magical it is to come with those two energies to come together that makes it possible for one to do deep spiritual practice. Because there's no accidents. It's really karma, and it's what we do with it that determines how far we go with it.
Yes, life is so beautiful. Not easy at all, but
Well, Atsuko,
special. Yeah.
does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I remember a woman once walked into my gallery when I had a gallery on 13th Street in New York, Japanese woman, and I looked at her across the gallery and she came in the door. And the first thing I said to her, I'll never forget this, I said, "Where have you been? Where have
Mm.
you been?" And she, and she looked at me and I said, "I haven't seen you in about 300 lifetimes. Where the hell have
Oh
you been?"
my God.
Two of us just started to laugh. We just started to, and we became, I don't know, remember Shizuko, you know, she lives in Okinawa now.
Shizuko. Mm.
Oh, but she was an incredible being. It was such an important part of what we're doing in New York.
Mm.
Eventually invited me to Zurich to teach and had this huge crowds of people that used to come. And, you know, but I'll never forget, I looked and I said, "Where have you been?" I haven't seen you in I don't know how many lifetimes. And we just thought,
Where is she now? Where is she now?
Atsuko, let's not have
Oh,
conversation.
sorry.
I mean, it's really important to just take in the energy and not
Okay.
have, a conversation while this. And I'll never forget that. And she lives in Okinawa, you know.
Oh.
But anyway, that's what it is. It's that moment, that magical moment when energies come together. And our work really is to be conscious enough to take deep advantage of it and never to take it for granted. Because those moments are really the beginning of a whole resurrection of our lives. And we need to be conscious enough and grateful enough to be able to take advantage of them. And as I said, it's always easy to find. I mean, if you want, in 5 minutes, you can take me apart. And I don't really give a shit. As like Rudy said, he wasn't running for Miss America, you know? He was there to transmit energy and Shakti. And if people want to find things, you can always find something about anybody in the world that you don't like, you know? But to overcome that and to have gratitude and to make that connection really work for you, that's nobility of soul. And that's the realization that one is born here to have a spiritual life. And then we use it, you know, we use it to grow in ourselves. And we all have defining moments like that in our lives. Every single one of us has a moment like that in their life.
Mm.
And most people, it just comes and it goes, you know, and they're not evolved enough to take advantage of those incredible moments. Does anyone else have a question? they would like
Um,
to-
how do you deal with those moments and like stay present with the risk?
You know, you just have to be smart enough, Zach, to recognize what the universe has given you. I mean, look, you know, my studies with Rudy, 6 years, were really difficult. There were so many times I would say to myself, Stuart, this is impossible. You got to, you got, I mean, look, I was living in his house. I was the first person to live in his house, frankly, you know? And I was living in this museum, wonderful, you know? And I'll never forget, I was on the second floor of the house. I had the whole second floor there and I was living there and I was surrounded by this extraordinary Tibetan art and Indian art. And, I lived like that for a month. And then Rudy invited 20 people to come. My life was never the same. I would come home at night, I had no place to sleep. Where I used to sleep, I would go there and somebody was sleeping there. And I once complained to Rudy. I said, Rudy, that's unbelievable. And he looked at me and he pointed at a weed growing in a crack in a New York City sidewalk. And he said, that weed has more courage than you. And he was right. Imagine the guts to live your life growing out of a crack in a New York City sidewalk. I never complained again. I said, Stuart, you're not there to sleep. You're there to learn how to have a spiritual life. Your teacher has invited you into his house and you're not there to complain. And I realized I was so angry at all these, and I finally made peace with that. And I had a meeting with all these people that were living there and I apologized to them. And I said, we're here for only one reason, not to judge each other. We're here for only one reason, that is to learn what Rudy has to teach. This was a defining moment. That weed in this was a defining moment of my life. And I had to recognize it. Well, either that or I would have ran away and my life would have, who God knows what I'd be doing today. So it really gets back to need to grow. And then whatever price you're willing to pay to get there. And that's really true. What is the price you're willing to pay to get there? I saw the price Rudy paid, 13 years with Muktananda. And when I spent a lot of time with him and Muktananda, I saw what used to go on. And I said to him, Rudy, why do you do that? He's the only person I ever met who can break me down. I mean, my God, And it was really terrible what used to go on, what Muktananda used to do. So it goes deeper than anything that's on the surface. And the meanings in life are so profound when you tap them that you're willing to do whatever you have to do to have a spiritual life. I mean, the story of Mappa and Milarepa, what an extraordinary story. Where Mappa was this great Rinpoche who lived with his wife somewhere in the Himal. And Milarepa was a black magician. He was a murderer. He was a criminal. And one day he said, I've got to stop this. I have to find another. And he went to Mappa. And Mappa said, well, you want to study with me? You want to learn from me? Build me a house. Build my wife and myself a house. So Milarepa spent an entire year building a house for Mappa and his wife. And then Mappa looked at it when Miller said, no, I don't like the location, tear it down and build me another one. Milarepa built 13 houses for Mappa. In a period of 13 years, what could have been left of his ego? Nothing. He became the poet saint of Tibet. They always sculpt him with his hand to his ear, listening to the cosmos. painted him that way. What could have been left of his ego? What could have been left of Rudy's ego after 13 years of being broken down by a very powerful, Indian teacher? And I had the same thing with Rudy. He broke me down. And every time I said, where are you going to go? Who's going to do this for you? These are the magical moments, the realization that when those 2 points come together, this is the work of God. It's not the work of us. It's the work of God. And then we have to be smart enough to learn. And there's no safety in that. You really have to go deep inside and break yourself down and get past your ego, your mind, your likes, your dislikes, and understand that you're born here to serve a higher force of energy in the universe. And it comes from need. What are your primary needs? Your primary needs to, have money and this and that, and then it'll always fall short. I mean, Rudy always talked, it's like an elevator, you get off on whatever floor and shop, or you stay on the elevator, you get off and you get back on you go endlessly into the cosmos. And on every floor, there's something to learn and you get back on the elevator again. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart. You mentioned like when you saw that woman and you said, oh my gosh, where have you been for this many lifetimes? So my question to you is, how do you discern between like fantasy and thoughts and imagination and genuine intuitive realizations?
No, this was genuinely intuitive. The two of us looked at each other like we were brothers and sisters who hadn't seen each other for a very, very long time. And I don't know, I didn't analyze it. And she became a very dear friend and a student and set up meditation groups for me in Europe, in Berlin, and in Zurich I was going to, and she set all that up. But one look and I knew there was something magical here. This was not just another person just walking in the door. There was something magical with her, something very profound with her. It doesn't happen with her. I mean, I used to sit in Rudy's gallery. It used to happen in my gallery too. Can I help you? I'm just looking. And this to me became the metaphor of life. Everybody is just looking. And you have a great saint right in front of you and you can't see it. You're not ready. That magical moment is not ready to take place. I had that all the time in my gallery. Can I help you? I'm just looking. I say, okay, Rudy, I used to crack up just looking, and I'm sitting there, I look at Rudy and I saw light, auras, incredible Shakti flowing out of him. And the person was just looking. And most people spend their whole life just looking. It's also what we are truly ready for, where we have evolved in our life and what we're ready to do. But how do I know that, it's not something it's something you experience. That's how you know. It's not a thing. Well, is it this? Is it that? I don't, it's bing, it's magical. It's something remarkable that happens.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I had something happen to me today like that, and it was something I had to say no to. because I knew that it wouldn't lead me to a good place. And it was something staggeringly difficult to say no to. I mean it, you know, I won't go into it, but it happened today. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, again, as I finish, God bless you all, thank you. And it's great, these questions bring such a depth to the class, you know, because sometimes I start talking and I'm talking about the same stuff, you know, and then people ask questions and this whole new flow of energy comes out and it's really amazing. So thank you and bless you. And there'll be a class tomorrow evening. And I'm hoping to see everybody in the class. And take this home with you. You're all home. You know, take it with you. Don't leave it in Zoom. You know, this is an amazing thing. You talk about having this amazing connection with something. What's going on in these classes have been staggering to me, staggering, you know? So let it really find a home inside and help you to build your own connection with God and spirit and higher energy. So God bless you all. Thank you. I will see you all tomorrow, hopefully, and have a good evening and bless you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Bless you, Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.